A big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video. If you need a website or a domain, go to squarespace.com/James for 10% off your first purchase.
Right, well this is embarrassing. I love using neck straps as wrist straps, purely because they double as neck straps. So if you need two hands, you can just stick the camera around your neck and you can tie your shoes or whatever. The thing is, I've always used a wrist strap like this. I've just twirled it around a few times and hoped that it'll be secure. Truth is, it's not secure, and it was only yesterday when I sat down to think about it that I realized there was a better way. If you just fold the strap over like this and create two loops, fold those two loops in, put your right hand through those two loops, and you get a much better connection. A genuinely secure one. I've been doing this for years. Took 30 seconds to think about it. Muppet. There was a robin on that boat a minute ago. Flew off. So that's annoying. So this is a camera that I'd quite like to dislike. It's a Fuji X100VI, or 6, whatever they're calling it. It's not mine. I have ordered one, but this is a loaner from Fuji. I don't expect to see mine for months yet, based on how many orders have been placed, apparently. Now, me saying that I'd quite like to dislike this camera, despite the fact that I've ordered one, probably sounds a bit odd, so I should explain. So, a couple of years ago, I tried the predecessor to this camera, the 5, or the V, whatever it's called. And to tell you the truth, I didn't really gel with it. But since then, I've had enough people who I really trust tell me that I should give this series a second chance. So here I am giving it a second chance, because on paper, I should absolutely love this camera. It's a fixed focal length, 35mm, which is a bit wider than I typically shoot. I love to shoot 40 or 50, as you'll know if you watch this channel, but it's got 40 megapixels, so there's plenty of opportunity to crop. It's a nice small package. It's got IBIS and it's got the viewfinder that I'd said I'd have in my dream camera a couple of videos ago. Basically, you can flip between optical and digital, which I just think is absolute genius. Best of both worlds. This will hopefully be quite a dynamic scene in a couple of hours. The tide is coming in and it's half term. So hopefully people will be milling around later this morning, which should make for a couple of nice photo opportunities, particularly if that light over there comes this way. We'll see, I guess. Oh, also I should say the other thing that I think might be interesting with this camera is the fact that it shoots very good video, but also has a built-in ND filter. Now, I don't really care about the ND filter for photography, but as somebody who both shoots stills and video and does so in very quick succession, it's nice just to be able to press a button, this one on the front of the camera here, to turn the ND on and off. I know that sounds like a really small thing, but as somebody who, as I say, shoots both video and stills, it's so annoying, even with the magnetic ones, putting the ND filter on for video, taking it off for stills, because I'm probably doing that, I don't know, 30, 40 times an hour at times. And when the ND isn't on the camera, does it go in your pocket? Then it's an expensive piece of glass that's exposed in your pocket. It's just a faff. So having one inbuilt, I really like the idea of.
Right, I am trying to decide whether or not I should cancel my order for this camera, and not because it's a bad camera, it's just that I have other cameras and I'm therefore trying to work out if this adds value in my workflow, I guess. A couple of things I really like about it. The viewfinder, again, it's fantastic to be able to shoot both with an optical viewfinder and an electronic one, and to be able to switch between the two seamlessly. I love that. The image quality is great. It's exactly what you'd expect from an aps-c sensor with 40 megapixels. Very good image quality. The ND filter works pretty well as well. I don't actually know how much I need one for the kind of video that I shoot. A lot of the time I think I could probably get away with shooting without one. You know, if I'm using high shutter speeds, it doesn't particularly matter if there's nothing moving violently in my frame. Although what I would say on the ND filter is that I'd need to get used to shooting with this camera, because there were times where I'd take a photo with the ND filter on, not wanting it on. You do get a warning from the camera. It shows up in the top left of the screen, but yeah, I just didn't notice it. So I'd call that user error rather than the camera being at fault. Although a couple of places I would put the camera at fault. The battery life seemed pretty terrible. Maybe I've just got a duff battery, but I don't particularly remember that being a problem on the last camera. Yeah, the battery life didn't seem very good at all. I was constantly charging it with my power bank. Luckily, it is USB-C rechargeable. And I'm really surprised that there isn't a screen that tilts or flips for vertical shooting. I mean, it's clearly a very capable camera for both video and stills, and the fact that it went massive, or its predecessor went massive on TikTok and social media, makes me think that lots of people who buy this camera might be interested in shooting vertically, so that is a bit of a surprise omission. Another thing I really don't like is the different sized lettering in the menus. They try and squeeze in a big long title, and the person who came up with that, I think, should go to jail. There's no way this can be legal. It looks horrible. It's kind of a small point, I guess. Maybe jail's a bit harsh. And lastly, the styling of the camera. I don't know, the more I look at it, the more I think it looks like a toy rather than a camera. Though obviously that is just personal preference and also meaningless, probably. Now in some ways that might sound like a lot of negatives, but at the same time I have absolutely no doubt that anyone who gets this camera will really enjoy using it. It's a fantastically engaging piece of kit, and it's a great thing to have with you. And for that reason, maybe I will keep my order. Yeah, well, that and the fact that I absolutely love how the ISO dial works. I love that on the X Pro 3 as well. It's genius. Genuinely brings me happiness, this. Anyway, hopefully that was useful, and maybe there'll be some more videos about this camera or with this camera in future. Not this exact one, my one, if I get one. Anyway, moving on to other business. The next print I have for sale for the next month is this. By popular demand, this is one of the photos that I took in Patagonia a couple of months back. And lots of people asked me if this could be available as a print. And therefore, as I say, for the next month or so, it will be the only print available on my website. And after this month, I'll never sell it again. So if you like the look of that, you can pick one up. And thank you. And of course, a giant thank you to the sponsor of this week's video, Squarespace. And as many of you will know if you've watched this channel before, I am a huge advocate of all photographers having their own website, somewhere that they control online, where you can show off your work in the way that you want to show it off, somewhere that you can also explain your work maybe in the form of a blog, and somewhere that you can sell your work in the form of an online store. And I think it's a crucial tool in all photographers' toolkits, and personally I think the best tool for the job is Squarespace, which is why I've used it for the past 7 or 8 years. That the last time I counted. Might be more now. Anyway, if you would like a free trial of Squarespace, where perhaps you can go and set up your own template and start adding images and playing around, you can get a free trial by going to squarespace.com. Then after that, if you'd like to make a purchase, just go to squarespace.com/James, where you'll get 10% off your first purchase. And a big thank you to Squarespace for their continued support of this channel, and thank you to you for watching. Next week, I don't know what we're doing next week, but hopefully I'll see you then. Cheers.